You are sitting in a waiting room. On your knee is a form. It lists in small print everything that could go wrong. You are here for something minor, a tooth, a ligament, 20 minutes and you are home by lunch, and you are still quietly a little bit terrified. Surgery feels like the most modern thing we do. Anesthetic is about 180 years old. Antiseptic is younger than that. Antibiotics are younger still. There are people alive today who were born before penicillin. Cutting a person open on purpose and having them get up afterwards looks like something civilization invented last week. That is mostly true. It is also in one specific cave completely wrong. Start with the obvious version. Before hospitals, losing a limb meant dying. You bleed. You go into shock. And if you survive the day, the wound goes bad and finishes the job a week later. Amputation. As an operation someone walks away from, needs a settled society. It needs specialists. It needs people willing to feed you while you are useless, which is why the record made sense for a long time. The oldest known amputation was a farmer in northern France around 7,000 years ago. His left forearm had been taken off and he lived. 7,000 years puts him in the Neolithic. Farming, villages, pottery. Exactly the kind of world you would expect this from. Then, in 2020, a team opened a small pit in the floor of a cave in Borneo, and the number stopped making sense. Liang Tebo is a cave in the Sangkularang Mangkalihat Karst in East Kalimantan, Indonesian Borneo. It is limestone towers wrapped in rainforest. You reach it by boat in the right season, or you do not reach it at all. The same stretch of karst holds some of the oldest figurative art on Earth. A painted animal on a wall nearby has been dated to at least 40,000 years. People have been living in these caves and thinking on their walls for a very long time. In 2020, a joint Indonesian and Australian team, led by Tim Maloney of Griffith University, cut a test pit into the cave floor. About 2 meters down, they found a burial. It had been done carefully. The body lay on its side with the legs drawn up. Lumps of ochre had been placed on it. Chunks of limestone had been set over the head and over the arm like markers. Somebody buried this person deliberately and wanted the spot known. Then they cleaned the legs and the left one was wrong. The lower third of the left shin was gone. The tibia and the fibula both stopped together a third of the way down, and they had not snapped off in the ground. The ends were closed, rounded, grown over. The individual is called Tebo 1. The burial dates to around 31,000 years ago. The paper ran in Nature on the 7th of September, 2022, and it moved the oldest known amputation back by 24,000 years. That is not a record being broken. That is a record being moved into a different geological epoch. The previous holder had farms, pottery, and neighbors, and he now looks like a late adopter. The obvious objection is an accident. Borneo has rockfalls, falling trees, and animals with opinions. Something took the foot off and the boy got lucky. Bone is very bad at keeping that secret. A crush shatters, you get splinters, cracks spiraling up the shaft, crushed spongy bone inside, an end that looks chewed. A bone that was cut looks nothing like that. It stops on a clean angled plane taken across the shaft from one side. Tebo 1's tibia and fibula stop on a clean angled plane. And then there is the healing, which is the part that actually settles it. Both cut ends were sealed over with new bone, smooth, remodeled, closed. That process takes months to begin and years to finish looking like that. The estimate is 6 to 9 years. He was a child or close to it when the leg came off. He lived 6 to 9 more years on the stump. The left leg bones are thinner than the right, because he used them less. He was favoring that side and walking on it the whole time. He died at about 19 or 20 and was buried by people who put stones on his grave, which means somebody in the Pleistocene ran a post-operative follow-up longer than most modern physiotherapy plans. Now think about what is to be true for any of that to happen. Take a leg off below the knee and you cross 3 arteries, the anterior tibial, the posterior tibial, the peronal. Get one of them wrong and it is finished in minutes on the floor of a cave with nothing to stop it with. So somebody knew where they ran, not from an anatomy textbook, from butchering animals. Thousands of them across generations, taking apart legs built almost exactly like ours. If you have opened 400 deer, you know what is under the skin of a knee. They also had to leave enough soft tissue to fold over the stump and close it. Cut too high and the bone stays exposed. Cut too low and the wound will not shut. And then the real enemy. This is the equatorial tropics. A large open wound in that heat and that humidity turns septic fast, and sepsis does not care how good your cutting was. Borneo's forests hold one of the richest medicinal plant floras on the planet. Antiseptics, anti-inflammatories, things that slow bleeding. We cannot prove which of them went onto that wound. We can prove that whatever did go on it worked because the boy did not die, and somebody had to carry him. That is the part that does not fit on a diagram. For weeks, somebody dressed the wound. For months, somebody brought him food he had not gone out to get. For years, somebody helped a one-legged teenager move through a limestone cave system with no floor worth the name. 31,000 years ago, a group of hunter-gatherers decided that a child who could not hunt was still worth the entire cost of keeping. It is the oldest aftercare we have ever found, and it ran longer than most gym memberships. Now the honest part, because this story attracts nonsense. This is not a lost golden age of Stone Age medicine. There was no hospital. There was no tradition to point at because there is no second case. We have one skeleton from one cave, and one is a terrible sample size. Other researchers have pushed back, and the argument is not finished. From a single individual, it is genuinely hard to rule out every alternative. And the world that produced this operation is the same world that made it necessary and then killed him at 20. Nobody in that cave was living well. They were living carefully, which is a different thing and much harder. So what did 31,000 years actually buy us? Not intelligence. Not care either. The instinct is the old part. Somebody is hurt, do something, keep them alive, stay with them afterwards. That is at least 31,000 years old, and it is almost certainly older because Tebo 1 is only the oldest one we have found lying still enough to dig up. So, the waiting room, the strip light, the form on your knee listing everything that could go wrong. Somebody thought very hard about everything that could go wrong that day too. Then they picked up a stone blade and did it anyway. They just did not make you sign for it.